أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Um, Welcome. I'm very excited to start this webinar today. Inshallah, it would be fruitful. We have a very esteemed guest, which I'm very fortunate to know and to introduce. And I know that this topic, which we're discussing around empowering safe childhoods, has been something that we wanted to address for a while. And Alhamdulillah, we have the opportunity now to open up this topic to have a very engaged conversation on what is quite a sensitive topic, but inshallah, we can have some reflections today on this webinar, and I'm sure there'll be many questions or many points to take away, inshallah, so we can make it a practical space for us where we can know where the resources are and where the information is, inshallah. As we normally start, we start with a reflection from the Quran. Um, I've chosen these verses from Surah Al-Anbiya. These are verses 46 and 47. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, um, in this verse 46, He says, وَلَئِن مَسَتَّهُمْ نَفْحَةٌ, and if as much as a whiff of min azab rabbik, as much as a whiff of punishment from your Lord touches them, لَيَقُولُونَ يَا وَيْلَنَا إِنَّا كُنَّا ظَالِمِينَ, oh woe to us, we are among the wrongdoers, the ones who do zulm, people who do that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this beautiful concept of in the next verse, وَنَسَحَ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطِ, this really beautiful concept that we have in Yawm al-Qiyamah of the scales of justice. What does that mean? And we have placed al-Mawazin al-Qist, these scales of justice, لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ, فَلَا تَظْلُمْ نَفْسًا شَيْئًا, no soul at all will be treated unfairly. And it's not, I love this verse because it talks about the concept of adl, the concept of justice. It says that there is a scale of justice where nobody at all would be treated unjustly. No one would be have zulm on that day. فَلَا تَظْلُمُوا نَفْسًا شَيْئًا. Yeah. And then وَإِنْ كَانَ مِثْقَالَ حُبَّةٍ مِّن جُزْدٍ. And this is a really a metaphor that we find a lot in the Quran when Allah says, even if something was the weight of a mustard seed, which is basically saying, or we have another verse where it talks about even an atom worth of good or an atom worth of evil will be seen. So we have a metaphor here in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, even the weight of a mustard seed. So even if you had zulm, which was to the weight of a mustard seed, that will be, what does it say? Aina beha, it will, uh,
أتينا بها.
Ateina beha, it will come forth, right? So that mustard seed of zulm will come forth, and then this is the beauty. What follows later is wakafa bina hasibin. And what does that mean? God is saying, I am enough as an accountant. You need to rely on me. Like we have the beautiful verse, we say, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا, or Hasbi Rabbi, Allah is sufficient for me. And this concept that we have, which is so central to Islam, so central to Tawheed, that it is our Lord who is sufficient for us, and He is sufficient as an accountant. He is sufficient as somebody who is aware of an atom worth of good, a mustard seed of zulm, and that um, if these people actually knew the harm they were causing, if they had even a whiff of the punishment that was coming to them, they would realize that they were among the Zalimin. So I think um, wanted to start with this to say that sometimes things may happen that we may not see the justice of that in this life, but rest assured, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises us in this beautiful verse of the scales of justice, where even the weight of a mustard seed is accounted for.
Yeah. Very nice choice for the ayat. Yes.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm sure we will learn a lot from you, Dr. Rana. For those who may be joining and don't quite know who we are, so we are a peer support organization for Muslims who struggle with same-sex attraction or gender identity confusion. We offer a free consultation to anybody across the world. We have people coming across the world. We're so lucky Dr. Rana is joining us from Bahrain. We have Arab-speaking circles as well. So we do have circles for men who prefer to speak in Arabic. We actually, at one point, we had two of those Arabic-speaking circles. So if you're joining in and you're looking for support, that's available. There's also at present there's some spaces which I do for coaching on Fridays, which I hand out, as well as we do webinars like this, which are free and open to absolutely anyone. And we are always on the lookout for volunteers who want to help in any way. Like I said, this is a peer support organization, so it very much is run by volunteers. Our support circles are run by volunteers themselves, and each of these circles that you see, they're existing because of those volunteers. So if you would like to help, please do reach out. It would definitely be appreciated. So I want to introduce our guest today, Dr. Rana, and I'm so happy that she has taken the time, and we've been talking about this for a while for this to happen. And Alhamdulillah,
Well, thank
I'm
you.
grateful that Allah has
Actually, it is my pleasure to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
More.
Dr. Rana has more than 20 years of experience in this field of protecting children. And most recently, and we will share, she's done a lot of work in gender dysphoria. I remember I was invited at her for an Instagram live on her
Yeah.
channel, and we were discussing this point, and it is so much needed, where there are very few resources which are out there which are talking about gender dysphoria, especially in the Muslim context. Um, she has a PhD about father-daughter relationships, and on the subject of abuse, sexual abuse. She's co-founder of this lovely Kun Harra, is that right? Kun
Yeah,
Harra
it's good Haran. Yeah.
program, Be Free program, which protects children from abuse and builds their character. Um, she has done numerous workshops in many countries, Bahrain, Tunisia, UAE, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and in UK as well. She's also participated in many conferences. Actually, it was the IFTCC, which I was very lucky to meet Dr. Rana, and she also heads the Bahrain Women's Association for Human Development, which is a NGO focusing on human development in areas of women, children, and family. She's author of two books, one of them called A Practical Guide to Instilling 53 Humane Values in the Family, as well as Discover Your Child's Special Seed. Um, so I have a few photos. So we were talking about gender dysphoria. So here she is in November
Oh,
2022 at the Abdul Rahman Canoe Cultural Center. And this was for her presenting the seminar on gender identity. Um, and as well, I think this year she was invited to Sheikh Isa Ibn Ali Al Khalaf award. There was a reward which was for the best volunteer project.
you did a good good research.
I do my research. And it was really, really good to see the that work, and she you got to present that award, and it is really amazing. So if you want to find out more what is and why she's getting all this attention, head over to befreepro.org/N. So what I understand, and I'm sure Dr. Rana will uh, correct me, is that this program deals with different categories, so parents, children, teachers, adolescents. It provides training workshops for children on protecting against assault, as well as life skills, which will contribute to build their personality, enhance self-worth, self-confidence. So there are many workshops which talk about aspects of uh, basic rules on how to protect them. So some of the names of the workshops are I take responsibility for my life intelligently. My personality is distinctive. There's another one called I Think with Hope and Action. Another one which is called My Family is the Source of My Happiness. Um, and another one which is called I Choose My Words Intelligently. Um, so this Be Free program has worked in a variety of different environments. It's also worked with the medical school and University of Bahrain for the past 10 years to train first year students so that they can play an active role in protecting children and providing them with the basic concept through stories which are presented in the program and that which children can learn. So these concepts in this program are taught from an early age, from the age of 5, as you can see here. Children are very young, and there's, inshallah, we'll talk about this concepts such as good touch, bad touch, difference between a good and a bad secret. So um, fantastic resource in Bahrain, working along NGOs. I've heard working with the UN at some point earlier on. Really fantastic work. So I'm delighted to have somebody who is as experienced in this field.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we could start off this um, webinar. Uh,
you.
I really wanted to start off, Dr. Rana, if I may, to ask what was it? It seems like from the get-go, from your PhD, you were like, this is the topic that I want to pick, and I want to bring about a change in my community. And you were very specific because you chose your research to be on this. Could you share with us what was your thinking at that time to choose this particular concept of sexual abuse as something that you wanted to work on?
Yes. When I became a mother, uh, myself and a group of other mothers, this was a concern to us. How can we protect our children? We don't want to search for help later on. We want to prevent it from happening. So this was our main concern. And we thought, since this topic is a taboo, nobody is discussing it, why don't we start ourselves? There's no other option, because nobody wants to tackle it or speak about it. And we can't just leave it while we are all the time concerned about this thing. As mothers and even as fathers, this is something that is um, keeps on coming back and forth into our thoughts. And so we decided we will do it. We will work as volunteers, and together we put all the things that we want to concentrate on. So when we first started, it was only one concept of prevention from sexual abuse. So this was our first layer that we built. We were doing workshops for children themselves, and not only for parents, but we also speak to parents, of course, to teachers, but we want something that is directed towards children. Then we thought, okay, children get abused in a certain way, but teenagers, or let's say at adolescents, they get abused in a different way through relationships. So we need to tackle that area as well. So then we started building another layer of speaking with the teens. Especially, we were able to go to schools. Schools were inviting us to go there. We also worked with different clubs, social clubs, some masjids, some matams, all the gathering places that even in shopping malls, this was another stage in which we thought, okay, there are people who will go to shopping malls. They can give us 5 to 10 minutes of their time, and this is fair enough. We can give the children one concept. And actually, shopping malls, the success of it, we did not expect. It was much
Wow.
more successful than what we thought, because people, they care about their children. Maybe they don't have all the time to take them to places so they learn, but they are willing to let their children sit and listen. And we were having, and we are still having, the same strategy, not to use fear, because when the children are frightened, they can't act smartly. Actually, any person, whenever we are frightened, we feel stuck. We don't know how to react. We just get freezed, or we might flee, but we can't think in a positive way, or of how to deal with this difficult situation. And yes, so we concentrated on the strength of the child, that every child is smart, and he or she, they can act smartly. They can tell their parents or someone whom they trust, uh, according to the situation. And by this, we were able to help children. This is after the feedback we got. some children were telling their parents that so and so happened, something like this happened. The best scenarios for us were when we can speak to the children, and then we have something special for parents. Sometimes we do it simultaneously. For example, the children are in a hall and the parents are in another hall at the same time. So by this, we make sure that both of them are aware of the concepts, because with parents, it's not about only how the children can protect themselves, but are the children able to come and speak to us as parents or not? Actually, this is the bottleneck that happens. Things might happen. A child might get abused, and we will get into it, inshallah, in a few minutes. But is he able to speak to us or speak to his parents to tell them that something so and so happened? Or is he frightened?
Yeah.
Or maybe he thinks, yes, I will get punished
Yes.
because I did this wrong thing. Or
Yes.
maybe he thinks, I can't tell my parents, they can't handle it. I
Yeah.
know my mother freaks out from simple things. Something big like this, she can't handle it. So,
Yes.
and so on and so forth. So this is what we focus on with parents, building the relationship. It is very important because no matter what we give the children, they need uh, parents or caregivers who can listen to them, whom they can help. But if the parents are not ready to listen and to
Mm.
embrace this child, then this child will not come and speak.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of those cultural factors that you've just said that, you know, the reputation of my family,
So, yes,
the what I don't want to be a burden on my parents. I don't want um, somebody else to be upset because it only happened to me, So, or indeed, it was my fault because, and a lot of victims of abuse are confused with the emotions because it's like, well, it felt like love, it felt good, it felt like love at the same
very
time.
true.
So you have all of this going on. How is do you think the cultural context of is that a barrier? Is the culture that we have, is that sometimes a barrier for us, for children to come forward and say, um, something happened to me and I need to speak to someone?
Oh, yes, actually, it's a barrier from more than one area. Um, For example, from one angle, it is a barrier because the parent, they do not know how to deal with whatever the child is might tell them. So they prefer not to look at any sign and to ignore the signs that there's something wrong. Because if something really happened, then what I'm supposed to do? Especially all the statistics shows that uh, more than 90% of child sexual abuse cases are happening from relatives or from
Mhm.
those who are very close to the child, because
Yes.
this is why the child trusts this person. So the mother and father would think, if we give ourselves the chance to think about this situation, then we have to face the consequences. So, of course, this happens unconsciously, that they don't want even to see all the signs that tell them there's something wrong. So this is one aspect. Another thing is that um, showing the child that he or she are loved, they are loved, and you know, sometimes if the parents they were emotionally deprived, then it is very hard for them to give love. They do not know how to act. It's not that they don't want to. In many cases, they don't know how to deal with, how to give love, how to care with love, how to say the words. It's very difficult, especially in our culture. So, and for this, things are changing, of course. But for this, we used to emphasize on the Prophet's, peace be upon him, that his relationship with his grandchildren, how he used to kiss them, to hug them, to play with them. So this makes it more acceptable for people to listen. It's not something that is coming from the West. It is something, it is inherited in our culture that the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to do this, to play with
Exactly.
children.
And that concept of touch, right? So
Yeah.
I need uh, touch from my parents. I need touch from my caregivers, and a lot of clients that we see with same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria say, I don't remember my parents hugging me. I don't remember my parents kissing me, and that kind of practice, which I guess at the Prophet's time, we had people who would say, "Yuck, I'm not going to kiss my sons. That's not something that's very manly to do," and how he kind of broke that kind of concept among the Arabs to say, "No,
Yes.
I'm going to put my grandson at the top when I'm doing the khutbah, or when I'm doing my prayer and I'm leading the prayer, he's still above me," and kind of having that mercy and that love with children as they're growing up, um, to maybe experiences where, um, if there hasn't been a friendship with my parents when I've been growing up, then I can't tell them about things like this because I don't already have a friendship with my parent. So how, as a child, am I then able to do that? So how about
I
if
will
we
just say something. We don't use the word friendship because I say my perspective. When
go
we
ahead.
say friendship, this means we are friends. Then I don't have authority, but we
Yes.
as parents we have authority. So
Yes.
we can say we build good relationships with our children. We
Exactly.
say yes, we sit. We try to be close to them, but not we will never be their friends.
Yes, exactly. There's an inherent
So they won't understand that, okay, if we are friends, we should agree on whatever they want. Then our authorities are the same. No, we have higher authorities, but we do love them, we do care, and we listen to them, all the other things.
yes. So if we, and thank you for clarifying, if we take it from the view of the parent, um, if a parent is concerned or if a parent is worried, what are some of the signs that your child may manifest if they've gone through child sexual abuse?
There are many signs, but it doesn't mean that seeing these signs that it's for sure that my child has been sexually abused. So the parents have to really go and dig deeper, not to just depend on these signs and then say, oh, of course, this means that my child has been sexually abused. No, as long as there is an open channel to speak and to discuss different things, and if the child for example, was at school and he faced a problem and he is able to speak with his parents about it, this is a good sign that there is this open channel. Uh, Going back to your question, if the child feels, the parents can feel that he's anxious, or sometimes he doesn't want to go to certain places, maybe his some relatives' place, houses, or something like that, or does not want to shake hand with somebody. The problem with these signs, sometimes I do not even speak about them, is that people get into the doubt circle and so then happens to think negatively about people and might create stories in their brains. I would rather ask the child, for example, if the child says, I do not want to go to this house.
Mm.
We can ask him why. Maybe there are no other children in his age. He can't play with anybody there. Or maybe he was fighting with someone and they are not in good terms. Whatever. It can be many reasons. So it's good to listen and to ask and respect. For example, if he does not want to kiss or to sit in the lap of a relative, why should we force him? He
Yeah.
can say Assalamu alaikum without shaking hands.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
At this point is so important, right? Because we have this again cultural thing that, oh, he's, they're elder, you're supposed to sit with them, and your child is saying, oh, this is a completely foreign person, I've never seen him, and you're like, and we kind of make the children to say, no, you need to, this is your granddad or whatever, or whatever it is, and it's the first time that child is seeing that new
Yeah.
person. And of course they're going to say, this person's new, I don't know who it is, I can't, I'm going to be really shy towards that person. um so so you're saying in that situation it's better for them to feel shy, and then that's okay for them to feel shy
Yeah.
because that's the normal response.
It actually, it is, I think this is something that is built into the child, that he or she, they do not want to interact directly with strangers. This is a good thing. Why do we want to break it?
Mm-hmm.
It is a good thing. It is something to protect them. Uh, it never means that they do not respect these elders. They can say hi or greet them or salam or whatever from a distance. They don't need to be very close to them because they have their boundaries, and this is something to be respected. Not to take and the push the child, he has to go and shake hands or to hug this. Maybe it's a very close aunt or uncle, but for him, it's just a stranger. He or she is a stranger.
Yes.
And
And
it doesn't mean at all that this is not respectful. No, as long as they are greeting, it's okay.
and another parenting style where um you pamper the child, right? So, and I've heard you talk about this before, where you will do things for the child, like um, um, help them put on their shoes, do their homework. How can that negatively affect them as well?
Yes, actually, there are many types of abuse. We usually speak about sexual abuse, but there is emotional abuse, physical abuse, neglect. These are also types of abuse. But under emotional abuse, one of the most, let's say, severe cases of emotional abuse is pampering, over pampering the child, because uh, the child in his first years, he's supposed to learn. He needs to gain the skills to build his life later on upon sorry, on these skills that he gained in his childhood. If he's getting everything, he there is no the word no, he does not hear it. Or whatever he wants, he gets immediately. He does whatever he wants. Nobody will tell him this is wrong. Um, then the basic things that he should have, I always say he, but he or she. And then whatever the skills that uh, these children need to learn, they did not get the chance to learn it. And whom to blame? The parents only, because the first, let's say, 10 to 12 years of their lives, they should learn all these skills, how to deal with difficult situations, how to deal with no, how to wear their clothes, um, uh, to eat,
Mm.
all these things. If
Yeah.
we will do everything for them, then this is really an emotional abuse. The thing is, even if they grew up and now you want to compensate, there's no way. How are you going to teach all these skills for them at an older stage age?
Hmm. And how, there's a prophetic saying, the seven, the seven, and the seven, and
Yeah.
in the first 7 years have them as a king. How do you balance that freedom that you give them with the rules, let's just say, or how do you treat them as a king, but also uh, help them be independent so they're doing things by themselves?
Maybe the word to treat them as a king, because we buy food for them, we cook the food, we do many things, we take them to school. They are actually kings. So we
Yeah.
don't need to do more. They are already kings. Now, gradually letting them or helping them learn more skills, this does not uh, interfere with them being treated very specially, actually.
I
So
see.
this is
So
how I look at it.
yes, and so a lot of parents also tend to be quite defensive, so if a child makes a mistake, or they'll be quite they'll protect them, or they'll say, oh, it's okay, doesn't matter, or if a child uh,
Yeah,
kind of um, is unhappy, they'll say, oh no, I want my child to be happy all of the time. So even if
thank
there's a
you, Ali.
mistake.
This is really, really important. Yes, many parents, they can't um, bear the sadness of their children, or
Yes.
any negative emotion that their child goes through. And actually, children need to feel these emotions. These are not bad. The wrong thing is to let them stay in that emotion for a long time. But it's good that the child will feel, let's say, sad. It is good for them, or to feel that, okay, I wanted so and so so much. I wanted it really so much, but my mother did not allow me. It's okay. It's okay. Let them go through this. This is life, actually. Many of the things that we want, we don't get. So if we help them really, if we love them, we will help them deal with these emotions. And something you mentioned very important, that if he did something wrong, we shouldn't, at school, let's say, we shouldn't go and defend him. No, we should discipline this child because okay, he did something wrong. He needs to be disciplined, not to go and defend or to fight for his right. Actually, it's not his right because if he did something wrong, then he should be bearing the consequences.
Mm. And one of the things on the other scale is if we have children which are very compliant, right?
Yeah.
And they always say yes because they're taught that you have to say yes to everything because that's on the other side of the spectrum, right? When their parents are very, very disciplinary, and they can't say no. How does that affect in the context of abuse where a child doesn't know how to say no and set boundaries?
Yes, actually, yeah, this child might have a low self-esteem, maybe, or the child might be, um, if the parents are very controlling
Mm,
and they want things really as they imagine and they want to control everything, then this child will not have the confidence to say no. One of the things that we teach children is to say no for things that really not good, bad. And if the child thinks that no is a bad word, so they should not say it at all, then this is a problem. Also, putting certain people in a position where they can't, nobody can even uh, um, what the right word, I can't find the right word, but something like they are holy, nobody should speak about them, but they are not, they are humans as well. For example, in Bahrain, there were few cases that the person who is in charge of the masjid uh, or someone who is teaching Quran, actually, even, he was raping children or sexually abusing children. So if we always look or show the children that this person is kind of holy, nobody should speak about him, nobody should say anything that he does was wrong, then of course they will not come and speak with us because for us, this person is untouchable. And whatever happens, they will keep it to themselves. This is not a very old case. This is something recent, maybe just a couple of years back happened in Bahrain. So this is a result of just giving some persons, maybe even a policeman, uh, giving some person, putting them in a place where they are untouchable. Nobody should speak anything about them. While even if ourselves as parents, if we show them that we do also mistakes, everybody does a mistake, but we should rectify it. And then we should do the right thing. We shouldn't just say sorry without correcting whatever damage we have done. إصلاح من تاب وأصلح. Always إصلاح comes, which is reforming and correcting things. And this is a very important thing for parents, not to put certain people above the law, as they say.
yeah, it's the sometimes, especially with faith leaders, it's like, oh, we can't, that is really high. And we had a recent case in the UK where of sexual assault, I think, or it was in I think it was Conor McGregor, who the person who reported the abuse recently. I was hearing that her house was attacked, and because these people are in positions of power, and when they realize that, oh, they're being threatened, and it's very difficult for um, the victim to come forward to say, I had an assault, this person abused me, and um, it takes an awful lot of courage. And we
Yeah.
often see in these cases that um, it takes a long time for, just as you described earlier in the session, where you say that moment becomes frozen in for them because they're not quite sure what to do with that memory. And it takes a lot of time for them to even talk about it, to bring it into presence. Um, what are some of the stories that you have seen of a successful intervention where um, someone, a parent or a loved one has been able to intervene at the right time? And, what lessons can we take from those successful interventions into maybe how we need to like I think you were saying earlier, promote that open communication between children and um, gain that trust that even if it's a, a a religious authority or a figure which is quite high, that it's still okay for you to, like, how practically can I convey that to my child to say that if that happens, it's okay for you to tell me.
Yes, about this last point, if we um, help children to think critically, which means whatever they listen to, whatever person they meet, these persons are um, not flawless. Nobody can say is masoom, will not do any mistakes. We all do mistakes. So if the children know, or let's say they live in an environment at home where even if a father or mother they commit a mistake, they say, "Oh, I did a mistake. This was not right." The way, for example, if I treated a person or I was angry and I treated certain a person or a cleaner or someone in a way which is inappropriate, and I then tell my child, "Today I did this and this, and it was not right. I should go and apologize." So the child will learn that we all do mistakes, we all commit mistakes, but we should speak and admit it. This will give them, let's say, a very safe space to speak, that they are not frightened, that they are the only ones whom went through a difficult situation or did something wrong. Because as maybe we all know that, especially the perpetrator or the abuser tries to put the victim in a place where he's the reason about because of him this happened. He wanted it. He liked it. Um, it's because of him. So he thinks that he's the one who's guilty. And if he's guilty, then it's very difficult to speak up. So if we put the child in an environment where any mistake can be fixed, and for any problem there is a solution or more than one solution. Um, just imagine that we are at home. We always say there is, for every problem there is a solution or more than one solution. The child will say, okay, I am in a problem, then there is more than solution. Maybe I can ask for help. um, Rather than we are not supposed to commit any mistake. This is not true, and actually not realistic. So yes, this is for about helping children to speak up. And you asked a question before this. I'm trying to remember. Um,
So if there's like a story of
yes,
a
yes, the story.
successful
Yes. Okay.
intervention that you remember that we can learn from.
Okay. Yes, yes. I was trying to remember. Um, One of the cases, it was a really a good example. One girl, she was at that time, she was 13 years old, and she was in a relationship with a man online, through WhatsApp and chatting and so and so. And he convinced her that he will get married to her. So he asked her, we will get married, so why don't you send me your photos? And she did, because she was thinking, yes, we will get married, although she's just 13 years old. Then uh, he asked for more and more photos. And then he threatened her that if she does not do whatever he wants, he will get these photos published over the internet. Uh, the good thing that this child went and spoke to her father. She told him what happened. So, of course, he went to uh, we have a certain entity in Bahrain, a governmental entity, to deal with these cases, criminal cases, and they helped her. So if she did not speak up with her father, maybe she would have gone too far with all these threats that she was getting. Another example of a young child was she when she came back from school. She told her mother that this person who's near the school, he was actually touching her in a way she did not like. And her mother intervened, and she went to the school and she asked them, and they did something at the end to protect the child. So these cases are cases in which the child went and spoke to the parent, to either the mother or father. But there are other cases, sadly, in which the child, she went and she told her mother, but her mother did not believe her. And yes, it continued for long. So uh, it is very important to have this relationship in which, if the child says, and by the way, before the sexual abuse happens, she was telling her mother, I don't want to go to my relative house. She was begging her mother, I don't want to. But the mother did not tell her why you don't want to go. She just said, no, you have to go. I have work. I have to go, and you have to go to your aunt place. So, if the child refuses to go to a place or to deal with certain people, it's very important to know why. If they don't want to speak up, we give them, because sometimes at the beginning it's not easy for a child to speak. We give
Yes.
them this space. No, okay, you can, we can speak about it later on. And we respect their desire not to go or interact with certain people.
Yes. And I think that's so important where parents, um, me included, just think the child is misbehaving, right? We just think that, oh, they're just misbehaving because they always misbehave, right? This narrative which is
Yeah.
ingrained in us, which kind of says that, oh, he's naughty, and they're just being annoying, and actually sitting with them and saying, oh, why is it that you're feeling this way? And that why question can open up so much more. Um, yeah, absolutely. Um, so I want to make this a bit more interactive. So what we're going to do is, if it's okay, we
Yes.
have a poll, and I'm just going to launch that poll. This poll, by the way, is anonymous. We will not be able to identify who has said what. Um, and there are two questions on this poll. So I'm just going to launch that now. Hopefully you can see it. There's only two questions. Um, so hopefully you see this poll now. It'd be good to see from the audience if what the responses are. And while people look at that and do it, it's in my practice, I would say at least one of three clients which I get for same-sex attraction, at least, if not more, report child sexual abuse. And it's actually something which is so prevalent, you know, it's something which is really, really prevalent. And I find, due to shame in our societies, that a lot of the times they've not been able to tell anyone, and having I love the program because you said there was nothing, right? When you started the Be Free program, you said there was nothing. So I needed to start something because there wasn't a safe place or a medium or a way of education for these people to go to say, okay, education for the parents, education for the children, and kind of sometimes there's a concept in our faith where if a sin has happened, especially if sexual sin has happened, then it's all the more harder to report about it because it is sexual sin, right? And it has a higher level of shame because it is sexual sin. And um, doing these programs where we are exactly what you're saying in terms of saying no one is immune from this, no one is immune from um they're not masoom, as you said, they're not infallible, and that this can happen, and that education. Do you think that now with the sexualization of our society, that is something that maybe we need to do earlier? Maybe in our time, things were different and children were not, kind of so aware in our time when we're growing up. But now what we're seeing is the threat is online. It's very easy for a child, to be in these situations. What age, and I know your organization starts from the age of 5. What age should we start with in helping destigmatize this, which is, I would say Islamically, culturally, there's a lot of shame around this topic.
Yes. Actually, there are two different things. Um, the first thing, what we do in Be Free, we help children to act smartly in difficult situations. We do not speak about sexual abuse. We don't even use the words.
Mhm.
This is we leave it to the parents the way they think is appropriate to speak about it. And I'll say what what I think. But just to mention, Be Free, we tell them that if we do not feel any touch is appropriate, it doesn't give us good feelings. And how to differentiate a hug from a mother usually gives us good feelings. We feel good, we feel safe. But maybe another touch, not necessarily in the private areas. This is something that I don't also we don't speak about it in Be Free. It is not necessarily only the private areas. Sometimes the shoulder or a hand, but the touch does not give us a good feeling. We can sense that this is not okay. In this case, we should not allow it, no matter whom this person is. We can just say no. We can say no. We can remove the hand, and by this we teach children to take responsibility of their body, and to act in a smart and let's say appropriate way. Now, there is another type of sexual abuse that we don't usually speak about. Actually, what I mean is in the community, we don't speak about it, which is just showing children inappropriate pictures or sexually suggestive pictures, or sometimes words that are sexually suggestive words. These are all types of sexual abuse because the child is not ready yet for all of this. So it's very important to know, and it differs from one child to another. Is my child ready or not for certain information? Some children, and we can see that some of them, they already know a lot. We need to get in quickly and help and be the source of information before it is too late. But some children, they are not ready for this. And we can say, sometimes we use the word innocent. They are innocent. They don't want to even look or discuss all of these things. They feel they don't want to, and which is true also because they did not reach the stage. Their body is not ready yet. Although we see many children, they get their puberty very early now, not like before. They are getting into this age quickly. So it all depends on the children themselves. But I do encourage the children, the parents to speak about their children without using pictures, real pictures, or inappropriate words, or because some of the current sexual education material, it's too much, very blunt, and it does not have the word we say afa in Islam. It does not have this, and it is something we should always encourage our children to have appropriate clothing, appropriate wording and speaking, and introducing them to this world to protect them does not mean to open the door into many things that are now in some schools they are taught, which are they are very young for it. Their body, their brains are not ready for it.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about um, coaching. So like if you're a parent and you're listening to this webinar, you take away that you need to understand what they already know. So what do you know about relationships? What do you know about boundaries? What do you know about intimacy between, and see what the child comes up with. And if they say, oh, I don't know, and then you can go back and say, oh, intimacy means two people really love each other. And then, so you can gauge what they're at, and then based on what they're at, then you open up that topic and address and if they tell you words which you didn't think they would know at this age, then I guess it would be like, oh, okay, yes, that's that. What do you know about it? Oh, that's interesting. Instead of shaming them when they talk about those words,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then they're very likely not to talk about it. So I want to open up for Q&A. Um, you can ask your question anonymously. So you will see a Q&A option, which is um, here at the bottom. You can ask, like I said, you can choose to be anonymous. We'd kind of love your participation. I'm seeing on the poll. So for those of you who are, kind of not on Zoom, we have two questions. Um, where we're asking if the audience has experienced sexual abuse. At the moment, there's 40%. And there's um, the second question, which is, did you know of a loved one, if it's not yourself, who's experienced that abuse? And that's 40% as well. So and that's interesting because I was thinking that yes, there will be people who have experienced that abuse and people who want to know that their loved ones as well, and how to kind of um, read that. So I want to, and thank you for answering that. I would love to open up for questions. We want to make this interactive. Um, if you want, you can raise your hand and you can speak, but just be aware that this is live and this is on YouTube so that your name will show up. But if you want to instead ask anonymously, then you have the option to do that in the Q&A here. Um, mhm. So while we wait on questions, um, what made you start work with gender identity? Because it's interesting. Um, was there a correlation maybe from the work
Yeah.
that you were seeing in sexual abuse and gender dysphoria?
Yes, there. Since the beginning, we realized that there is a very strong correlation between the two. Many of the children who were sexually abused, uh, it differs, of course. If the girls usually, um, they will feel that they do not want to go into relationships with men, or they have this tendency to protect themselves by acting in certain ways. Of course, there are others who we say sexually awakened in an early age, so they want if a child is sexually awakened in an early age, which means that they are exposed to sex in an age which is not appropriate to them, then they want to explore more, to know more, to try to explore. So this is a different thing. But going back to SSA, then yes, the girls, they want to show power. So what they do, they try to act like being a man, like men. While boys, they, especially if they were abused by other men, they were shy or soft, or they were having other they were dealing with other issues at home, and this comes on top of it. So they start to question their identity. uh, am I really a man? What's happening? Um, so things get escalated actually. So yes, they are very related. Many of the trauma, many of the trauma cases of sexual abuse, it goes into the direction of SSA, because unfortunately, the big question is, okay, after the child comes and tells me that, okay, you published the results. Okay, yeah. After the child comes and tell their parents, what happens next is very important. If they are not supportive, if they don't want to listen, if they blame or shame this child, then these children are more likely to go in the wrong path. They need to be embraced, to sit with them, to deal with these emotions. These emotions are there for a reason. Sometimes we wish that we just delete these emotions and that's it. No, these emotions come to give us a message that we should do something. But if these stay for a long time, they become toxic, these emotions. So something like guilt and shame, the parents can help their child. And even if the child goes to a therapist, they want their parents to help them, not the therapist. They need their parents to sit and say, "We can help you. We will be there for you." And or hug them. So what they need, they don't need it from a specialist. They need it from their parents. I don't mean that don't go to a therapist. No, go and ask for guidance, but that will not be enough for a child.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, very, very wisely said there. Thank you. I see there's some questions coming up. There's a question saying, thank you very much. Does Dr. Rana have Arabic lessons? And if so,
Oh, yes, yeah.
where we could find them?
Um, yes, we do have Arabic sessions, and we can do it online if they wish.
Um, where should they look for, or is it the Be Free website? Where is it that they should look for that?
Yes, on Instagram, Be Free program, we post all the updated events.
Okay. So
Actually, we will be having an event in Arabic, and it is online also on 26th. I can send it to you, Ali, if you can please
yes, of
share it.
course. Yes,
Yes.
I can share it with the group. Yes, thank you, and thank you for that question. Also, in creating these workshops, what are some of the um, challenges maybe that you've seen when you've been creating these workshops in terms of um, uh,
For parents, you mean, or for children?
for for parents in terms of kind of where the parents might feel that they have to um, yeah, barriers which may have come up in creating these workshops, or um, you know almost did 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 you was there a program that you set up? Uh, was it based on the feedback? Uh, did you evolve the workshops as they were going? Um, was it based on some resources maybe that you found? Um, really interested to see how you have several workshops, mashallah, that you're running now for parents and children. And I wonder, and heard that you said it was based on feedback, which you started with. Um, so
Yeah.
seeing, yeah,
Mm.
if you did a workshop and they said, no, this isn't quite what we wanted, and then maybe you tried something else.
Yes. We at the beginning, when we first started, we put the content as a team, a small team, and then we presented to another team, the control team, in which that control team goes through it, um, check the things, and then we sit all together and we discuss it to make sure that we have covered the main topics. Now, sometimes when we go to, I remember, for example, I went to one session was in a health center, and then I realized that most of the cases they brought, the parents brought, were about anger management issues. So I had at the same time I had to change the content because what they really needed was to deal with their children while they are angry, not because of the children, but because of other things, life struggles, the parents themselves are fighting, or any different reason. So sometimes spontaneously we have to deviate from the content because the parents need something else, and we do this in a way, yeah, or let's say to some extent. But generally, we plan it ahead, we sit together, and whatever feedback, whatever things that they say it was an aha moment to them, we try to emphasize it in the workshops that we plan for the next times, and so on. Uh, as for children, we develop it, and usually the team that develop the workshops for children, these are they have experience, long experience in dealing with children. And we also do a sample or a pilot training workshop for some future children. And then after that, we just do the modifications that are needed, and then yes, it's there. We have a new actually training manual that we will be launching hopefully by next month. And yes, it is about building a strong personality for children.
Amazing. It looks like there's a lot of effort that's gone into these programs with the content creation and refining that through, like you said, the control group and so on. What would be some of the resources that you might recommend that's been really useful? I went on the website and there were many different books which are there, which are available. Could you point to maybe some of the resources that may be helpful for either people who have undergone abuse or people who have loved ones who have?
Yes, we have stories for children, some of them in Arabic, some of them, one of them is in English too, in Arabic and English, but that's about, that tackles the issue of bullying. But there is a story that says Salem and his smart crayons. this is a story the parents can use. Actually, one teacher came to us and she told us that each year for every new group or batch of students, the first thing she does, she tells them the story. She believes in her role, and I highly appreciate her work. She believes in her work in the protection of children. And these teachers give us a very nice example of how a teacher, when they don't look at their job as a job, they look at their role something much, much bigger than teachers. They know that they pave the way of these children to be much more brighter. Yeah. So shortly, they can go to the website and they can download whatever resources we have. Even the training workshops manuals are available there, and we will be more than happy to help in helping them apply it with other children. For example, if the listener or the one who's watching is a teacher, or maybe not even a teacher, she's teaching crafts or anything, then yes, they can use these resources as a side event or side training.
Which is the book you said that was in English?
Yes, the one in English is Let's Learn and Have Fun with Our Differences.
Okay,
It is
fantastic.
a story for children. So they learn how to respect the differences and learn from it instead of bullying each other.
Fantastic. And um, it's um, it's really pioneering work, the Be Free program, which you've done. Looking back, Dr. Rana, on this work when you've started it, what are the things that you would say you're most proud of when you look back at this venture? And it is, really amazing. And I do encourage people to go. The website is befreepro.org, and look at the resources and the training, as Dr. Rana is saying. And to see that this was maybe 20 years ago a dream or something that you were
Yes.
thinking of, and maybe looking back at it now, what is it that you're most proud of in this?
Um, it's difficult to answer this question, but I will answer different question. It never occurred to me that I'll be in this area. And sometimes in our lives, we ask why this happens, why this happens, why this happens. It happens for a reason. Looking back, I can connect. They say always you can connect the dots backwards. Now I can see that, okay, all the things that happened and the struggles and all these things that I went through, it was for a reason, as if I am guided to walk this path and to help others. So maybe those who answered yes, that they have been sexually abused, can think of what their role can be in the community. How can they help others? How can they protect children? How they can make sure that what happened to them does not go just like that. It is not only a pain. It is not a pain um, without a gift. There is something in it. Sometimes we go through difficult situations for a reason. Uh, Not sometimes, always. There is something that we should do. Even if it's not us, a loved one went through this, we can help. Maybe we can think about it. Since we are interested to help, then God will help us. Um, and as the Arabic proverb says that once you take a step, God will help you. اسعى يا عبدي وأنا أسعى معك. So
Yeah.
yes, we should always take this step forward. So dua is not asking for a magic to happen. Dua is when we, or a prayer is when we have a next step in our mind, we ask God for support, and He will support us.
Beautiful. And yeah, I can totally relate that we have this beautiful Islamic concept of we need the suffering has a purpose, the suffering has a reality, and um, if we wouldn't be in these positions if we didn't go through something, and we wouldn't be able to empathize if we went through something, and I love the I love how you said at the start that there was nothing, there was no one was doing something, and we needed to address this issue, and we did. And the community which I see that you've created, mashallah, in Bahrain is amazing, and the accolades that we presented at the start, which you're doing, is really pioneering, fantastic stuff. Um, and how can people reach you? How can they contact you if they want to know more?
Um, I do have an Instagram account. Yes, it is public, Rana AlSairafi. Maybe the spelling of my name is difficult. I don't know. It is, oh yes, it is on the screen here,
It's on
Rana
the screen,
AlSairafi.
and
Yes,
we did tag your Instagram when
yes, yes.
we advertised for Stroke Support UK. Is there any closing remarks, Dr. Rana, you'd like to share for today?
Yes, even if the listener or watcher is not a parent, any person can have um, a role in protecting children. Once we have good relationship with the children, we might, for example, help them to think critically of things, or to discuss issues that it might be difficult for them to discuss it with their parents. So any person can be of help for children in his or her environment.
I love that. It's like sometimes it's, like they say, it takes a village to
Raise a child.
raise a child, isn't it? And that concept of um, if we can create secure attachments with children, which may not be, not be your child, it may be a cousin, it may be someone else's child, maybe a nephew, niece, and creating that space where if they can open up and they can share, then that is an amazing thing that you've created. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you
Rana.
for having me, Ali, and I really highly appreciate the work you do. And if there's anything I can help with, I will be more than happy to help.
I'm definite we'll need your help and expertise, definitely going forward, and your work on this. And inshallah, it is a topic which we hope to discuss more further. And no, thank you so much. May Allah bless your work, and we uh, uh, pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to bless the organization and all those who I've not mentioned and who are part of Be Free program, success not only in this life but in the hereafter, inshallah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your prayers and your words. Thank you so much.
Thank you.